Hi students, আজি আমি ডিসকাস কৰি আছো ইউনিট 1 medieval to renaissance topic ঠিক আছে এটো কোৱেশ্চন আনসাৰস আছে ইয়াতে এটো হল আপোনাৰ BA first semester English major ঠিক আছে তো here we are discussing the topics from medieval to renaissance. So first what we have is origin and development of feudalism in Europe. Second we have feudalism in Middle Age. Tarpichot ase what is feudalism? Feudalism mane ki? Tarpichot literature and feudalism. As we are a student of English literature, so we must relate with literature also. ठीक है? Tarpichot ase silent features of feudalism. Aru tarpichot causes of the decline of feudalism. Then another one we have why is Middle Age called the Dark Age? It is both important questions. The causes of the Dark Age are the 14th century Black Death. It money the Black Death কিমান সনত হৈছিল 1348 to 49 ঠিক আছে এটো 1 মার্কস কোয়েশ্চন আহিব পাৰে মই আপোনালোকৰ কোয়েশ্চন চাইছিলো গুৱাহাটী ইউনিভাৰ্সিটি তো তাতে আপোনাৰ 1 মার্কসৰ 2 মার্কসৰ আৰু 5 আৰু 10 মার্কসৰ কোয়েশ্চনস বিলাক আহে ঠিক আছে তো let's begin এটো মানে তিনিটা origin and development of feudalism Europe তাৰপিছত feudalism Middle Age what is feudalism তো ইয়াত আপুনি এনেকৈ লিখিব ঠিক আছে মই আপোনালোকক ইজি ইন দ্য বেস্ট পসিবল ওয়ে ইজিয়েষ্ট ওয়ে মই আপোনালোকক মানে এনসারটো বনাই পিনি ইয়াত I'm showing you ঠিক আছে তো what is feudalism so feudalism is derived from the Latin word feudum which simply means land estate it 1 marks or আহিব পাৰে ঠিক আছে যদি 1 marks আহে এটো লিখিব পাৰিবা যদি 5 marks 10 marks আহে তেনেহলে এটো ভালকৈ লিখিবা so it is defined as a political and economic system that is based on the rule of law the feudal system of Europe was of a composite character as it contained both the Roman and Teutonic elements in it. So according to Thomson and Johnson, feudalism was a compound of Roman, Christian and German elements modeled into a new form of contemporary conditions of life. The beginnings of feudalism in Europe can be traced to the late Roman Empire, although it took its final shape only in the 9th or 10th century. ঠিক আছে এটো 2 marks 3 marks বা 5 marks আৰু ইয়াত আছে as a result medieval society was separated into 3 classes. Now nobility, clergy aru peasantry. The king was the sole owner of a piece of land. King as all in all. The nobility, knights and a hierarchy of nobles held land directly from the monarch and were known as tenants in chief. The peasants, often known as serfs, were at the bottom of the feudal pyramid. So they worked for the nobles who gave them permission to exploit his land in exchange for securing his security and providing required assistance on demand. As a result, feudalism established a hierarchy order in society. So, and another key as a topic to literature in feudalism. Mane ji mane ami literature student mane ami relate koribo lagbe thik ase. So what we have is literature in feudalism 5 marks ahibo pare but 10 marks ahibo pare. So yet ki ase the feudal system had a significant influence on the literature of the period. It encouraged courtly writings that favored the king and feudal lords, as evidenced by many of the era's verses. The hero knight and his honorable acts are idealized in medieval romances. The amazing adventures of the chivalrous heroic knight, frequently of superhuman power, who abides by the rigid standards of honor, embarks on a journey and defeats monsters, so earning the favor of a woman, are generally told in medieval romance. So medieval romance ki asil Mane, the knight's love for his lady is a vital part of medieval romance. As a result, medieval romance to key emphasize korisil chivalry and adventure rather than love and passion. ঠিক আছে So such literary endeavors elevated the feudal pyramid in which the lord or knight always had a higher rank than the common people. So next কি আছে Silent features of feudalism. So what are the silent features of feudalism? It is important. So a prominent feature of feudalism was the beneficiary nature of land. Land was given in lieu of service. In general, the duty of the serf was service and that of the lord was protection. Serf duty ki asil service dibo aru lord ki asil for protection dibo serve lago. So service included military service in times of war and those of financial nature. another কি আছে it was a hierarchical graded system with the king at the top মানে সবৰ ওপৰত king আছে তাৰপিছত followed by the different grades of lords the knights being of the lowest rank and the serfs at the bottom another one কি আছে serfdom was an essential component of feudalism in Europe serfs বিলাক মানে slaves they were like slaves ঠিক আছে the serfs who composed the vast majority of the population were tied to the soil they could not of their own will leave the state or manor nor could the lord evict them from the belonging in return for the small plot of land they received from the lord they had to pay rent usually in kind in personal service another one কি আছে another important features of feudalism was the institution of chivalry it was a military institution or order the member of which called knights were placed to the protection of the church and the defense of the weak and the oppressed ঠিক আছে another কি আছে what are the causes মানে কি causes বিলাক আছিল মানে which led to decline of feudalism তো first কি আছে the feudal system of the middle ages functioned for 4 centuries before beginning to decline feudalism fell out of favor as a result of the variety of events and changes had occurred during the Middle Ages and after the Renaissance. Number 1 কি আছে the chief reason behind the decay of feudalism was the hostility of the kings and common people towards it. In fact, it was never regarded with much favor by any class except the nobles who were the greatest beneficiary of the system. ঠিক আছে another one কি আছে the crusades or the holy war that agitated all Europe during the 12th and 13th centuries did much to weaken the power of the nobles. It exhausted their resources and the power and influence passed into the hands of the kings or the wealthy merchants of the cities. Number 3 আছিল the Black Death. It was famous ঠিক আছে এটা মানে নলগে মানে ভালকে পঢ়ি পিন যাব এক্সামত মানে Black Death এটো নেট স্লেট যদি নেট স্লেট বিবিলাকতো মানে এই কোৱেশ্চনটো আহে তো নেট স্লেট মানে যদি আপোনালোকে মানে অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট প্রফেসর হবলে ইচ্ছুক আছে যে যিবিলাকে এইবিলাক নেট স্লেট যদি আপোনালোকে মানে প্ৰিপেয়াৰ কৰা তেনেহলে after your 4 years degree course তেতিয়াও মানে লাগিব বহুত ইম্পৰ্টেন্ট the black death কি আছিল a plague that struck Europe in the middle of the 14th century around 1348 এটি মনত ৰাখিব 1348 black death মানে it started it was one of the key causes of feudalism demise depopulation was the immediate result during the black death millions of people died ঠিক আছে it resulted a 1/3 reduction of the population of England people were forced to flee their homes because the worst affected areas were villages and towns কি আছে another number D আছে the rise of 1381 peasant revolt was another major cause for the decline of feudalism. The peasants realized how valuable they were and demanded that things change. Due to the scarcity of peasants, landowners were forced to rely on hired laborers. The wages were increased significantly because the hired laborers were in such a demanding position. ঠিক আছে তো the landowners felt threatened since they could not handle the situation as a result they sought parliament session in resolving the problem in 1351 the statute of laborers was passed ঠিক আছে আপোনালোক মই ভালকে ইজি বনাই পিনে আপোনালোক মানে মই ইয়াত I am showing you ঠিক আছে লিখি দিছো আপোনালোক ভালকে পঢ়িবা why is middle age called the dark age it is more important ঠিক আছে মানে why is medieval period called the dark age কি আছে the term dark age refers to the period between the fall of Roman Empire and the Renaissance the 5th or 14th century ভিতৰত it has been suggested that this period saw little scientific and cultural development মানে এই in this period there was very little scientific and cultural development ঠিক আছে After the collapse of the Roman Empire, Europe faced a drastic political, economic and social setback. This period was called Dark Age because of the backward and depleting ways, customs and practice that prevailed after the fall of Roman Empire. With this huge political collapse, the European society was forced to fall in clutches of feudalism. The continuous struggle between barbarians, Vikings and various feudal nobles devastated the peace of common men, while the common men were forced to lead their life as serfs. Life during the serfdom was typically difficult for peasants and lower class people. ঠিক আছে তো the term dark age মানে who coined the term dark age when which period in history was called the dark age यदि आहे the middle ages or the medieval period को it took dark age बोली कोई and it was first used by Italian scholar Francesco Petrarca itu बहुत important नाम itu मन राखिबा ठीक আছে মানে itu 1 marks question आए परे अपना 1 marks पर 2 marks exam so the term dark age was used by Italian scholar and historian Francesco Petrarca who was also known as Petrarch being in Italian Petrarch to corporation he was an Italian ठीक है he was influenced by the greatness of ancient Roman Empire so what is the causes of the dark age money what led to the dark age so by the middle of the 3rd century the Roman Empire was in deep trouble it was suffering from an economic crisis strange of civil war choli asil tate aru 2 major rebellions asil tate aru a plague mane the black death to question apna itu outbreak itu mane it started and many people and many emperors were being murdered as a result the 4th century saw the political and economic center of the Roman Empire shift east towards Syria, Egypt and Anatolia ठीक है so now we'll discuss what is the Black Death so the 14th century Black Death it was in 1348 to 49 so in the 14th century the Black Death spread rapidly across the continent and at an alarming rate sweeping across Britain in just few years the plague began in 1347 then Britain was one of the most important countries in Europe the Black Death first came to Dorset ठीक है Black Death to mane plague to first England kun to in which place it was in Dorset in southern England and then entered the port of Malmesbury spreading all parts of the country the Black Death spread to Britain in 1348 and rapidly spread to various regions bringing a devastating impact on the British population's economic and social order the church but you know the church regarded the plague as God's punishment for the people और वो चर्च थ्योरी की असल माने याद कि the plague was a God's punishment for the people the spread of Black Death caused an unprecedented disaster in Britain in the 14th century it not only caused heavy population losses but also profoundly changed the social structure economic activity and cultural landscape of the time wherever the plague went the population died about 43% of people alone died in Oxford only ठीक है the decline in population had caused economic paralysis and trade halt with a lack of labor high wages and prices 1/3 of the lands were uncultivated and food supplies were problematic during the Black Death the church efforts failed to prevent the spread of disease the disease not only shook the authority of the church but also had a profound impact on the development of religious history माने Black Death आगत माने church was all in all ठीक है किंतु Black Death पिछत however during the Black Death the church could not cure the disease church भी लागे माने a plague to cure करियो परा नहीं ठीक है and many clergies died in large number people तार पिछत की होल माने बिलागर माने faith to lost हो गल in the church ठीक है people gradually lost faith in the church hoping to bypass it and directly contact with God in general the Black Death brought a fatal blow to the church and shook its authority माने Black Death आगत माने church as all in all and और तार पिछत की होल Black Death पिछत it shook their authority माने church बिलागर authority जे माना छे लेटो माने आरो नाई however it also provided an opportunity for the liberation of the mind shifting the people's attention from God to man तार पिछत की होल Black Death पिछत people started shifting their mind from God from church to man humankind and also helped to break the class concept and enhance social mobility ठीक है तो এটাই আছিল আপনার লগত ইউনিট 1 और আপনার মেইন ইম্পর্টেন্ট টপিকস বিলাক মই আপনার লগত মানে ইয়াত ভালকে মানে বুজাই দিছো and if you like the video please like share subscribe করিবা আর যদি ভিডিওস বেক লাগে মোক কমেন্ট কৰি দিবা মই আপনার লগত এতিয়া মানে सब वीडियो बिलाक शेयर अपलोड करिम ठीक আছে so thank you students everyone